Good afternoon, ladies and gents. I hope you're all having a wonderful day today. As per usual, I have to say outside it's pretty foggy today. It's a little bit unusual for us here, but it's November, so there's a lot of fogs and unusual weathers going on in this time and place. But today I figured I would talk a little bit about why I chose to study Swedish, how it happened, why is it happening, where my channel is heading to, like the direction, a little bit the history, the background stories, because I figured some of you guys were actually pretty curious to know why I particularly chose Swedish and why I kind of started doing philosophical contents and why I kind of shifted over to the Swedish contents, or why I'm doing both at the same time. And this is something what I would like to discuss with you guys today, to kind of clarify a few things and to just give you a brief background stories as to why I'm so, I guess if you want to say obsessed with the Swedish language. I don't want to really say obsessed, because obsessed is more like you're really like so fanatical about it. I mean, I do love the Swedish language, I love the Swedish country and all of this, but to say like I'm so completely obsessed and like, you know, in that negative sense, not really, no. So in a healthy way rather. And I think I'll just start off by saying how this whole YouTube channel started, even to begin with. So in short, I guess if you scroll down on my YouTube feed, like one of my first videos, I had a few podcasts, maybe like 8 or 9 podcasts was with a particular person that I'm not going to go further down into details. Vladimir Lasov is his name. And we had a podcast going on for maybe a couple months in 2022. From around April till like July was like one of the last episodes that we did together, and it was kind of mixed. It was half English, half Russian, as this other person couldn't really pursue a conversation in English 100%. It was a little bit difficult. There were a lot of language barriers, so to speak, and we often transitioned from either English to Russian or vice versa, and it didn't really work out too well for the audience, because half of the audience was more English speaking, the other audience was more Russian speaking, and so on and so forth. And it was a little bit of a failed calculated target audience that we wanted to hit, but it didn't really work out. So we kind of stopped for a little while, and also other personal reasons in between. It didn't really work out based on time and all of that. And then 2023, I didn't really do much about this YouTube channel. It was kind of abandoned. I think it was only like 2 videos I made where it was a monologue. I did 2 monologue videos, one on Sparta and the other on something else. I don't remember, it's been such a long time ago. And the idea was kind of more like to kind of talk about certain philosophical concepts, and I decided to kind of try things on my own, since I didn't have the opportunity to do podcasts anymore with that particular person. So I figured, okay, I'm gonna try to do things on my own. And I tried to do a few trials and errors here and there with this monologue, and I kind of quickly lost interest in that. And fast forward to 2024, so this year, this is where I actually started to really get involved in my own channel. I kind of revived this channel, and I kind of had a reshaping phase of this channel, so to speak. And I did 2 or 3 more episodes or podcasts with Vladimir Lasov in March and April, I think. It was in the beginning of the year, and then we again kind of abandoned it. And then there was a silent phase for maybe 2 months, and so April and May, and then in June, this is where I really took things off, and this is where I started doing these videos in that kind of format. And how I got my inspiration from that, well, it's actually pretty funny. I was looking at this particular microphone for quite a long time. I was thinking to pick up the YouTube channel. I was like, why not? I mean, it's been abandoned for a long time. I kind of felt like doing more videos again. I had more time, I had more space and motivation to do it. And I was like, okay, I can't just, have no microphone. I can't just, I need some kind of equipment, right? And I was looking at this microphone for quite some time, hoping the price would maybe go down or looking for better deals. And it was like maybe 2 months where I was looking at this microphone, and I was like, at one point I was like, okay, I'm just gonna buy it. Like it's done, like done deal, finished. And the microphone kind of gave me a boost, so to speak. And I kind of started making those videos. I kind of started to look for topics like anything really, anything philosophical. What is morality? What is free will? Or things like that. You can find all these videos on my YouTube channel, obviously. And this is how I kind of started to get things going. And also, now going to the Swedish side, how did the Swedish come into this channel? So basically, I started studying Swedish. If you want to take this on a serious note, I started studying Swedish in April as of this year, or end of March, beginning April around. So it's been well over half a year, 7 months now, 8 months maybe. And basically, the thing is that with Swedish, I started to study, or I tried to study Swedish much earlier. So when I was, I don't know, 16, 17, 18 around, and it was kind of like maybe like a month I would try to study Swedish, and then I would like abandon it, and then maybe again a certain while later I would try to pick it up again and I would study Swedish, and then in between I would also maybe try out Norwegian, or maybe I would try out Danish and other languages. I also tried Icelandic at some point, but Icelandic is really tough. I mean, for me personally, Icelandic is like way tougher than any other language that you can think of in the Scandinavian sphere. And I know Iceland is not Scandinavia. I get that point, la la la. But basically, I tried out a few languages in between, and I have to conclude that Swedish for me personally is one of the closest languages, one of the easiest languages to learn, because since I speak German, it's much easier for me to pick up a lot of words in Swedish, and a lot of words sound very similar in Swedish. And also I have to say, maybe it's something that you didn't really hear that much in the past, or maybe that you have never heard of. But if you speak Swiss German, it's actually to some degree easier, much easier to pick up Swedish words as well, because some words are literally identical, like the word nej. In Swiss German, it's also nej, or I don't know, there are other words that I've noticed or mentioned maybe in the past that are very similar. So the point is that Swedish is one of the easiest languages for me personally. It's one of the most relatable languages, and hence I kind of gained a lot of motivations throughout that. And I've this year I really stuck with it. I was like, this is the year, like that's it, 100%, because I'm so tired. I'm sick and tired of having to, you know, abandon the language and then come back and then abandon again, and you would forget, and then it's like it kind of becomes very demotivating, because you have to revive the same thing that you learned. You have to revive the same vocabulary that you once learned sometime in the past. And so I was like, okay, this year, this is the year, that's it, I'm gonna be 100% committed to it. And I didn't think about doing Swedish content for a while, until around July or something like that, as of this year. And for me at this time, back a couple months ago, I was like, okay, Swedish is going to be like a side quest for me. Swedish is going to be like a little series, a little language series, like in case you guys are interested in the Swedish language, or in case you guys are interested in languages in general. I'll be like, why not? This could maybe, you know, create some more interest in this YouTube channel. Why not? Sure. But I certainly didn't expect that there would be such a high demand or a high interest in that. And I certainly didn't expect that it would be actually a niche to some degree, because I noticed on YouTube, there are a lot of YouTubers who talk about the Swedish language, and there are a lot of YouTubers who talk about, you know, here are 10 things, you know, 10 interesting words in Swedish that you should know, or 10 phrases that you should know if you go to travel to Sweden, yada yada yada, all these things. I mean, those videos are good or great, I'm not knocking them at all, but I didn't really notice anyone actually like documenting their progress in the Swedish language. I didn't notice anyone recording themselves trying to actually try to, you know, speak that language, or to like kind of just expose yourself 100% and to just do raw footages of yourself learning that language, trying to speak that language, trying to look for certain interesting areas in that Swedish language or in Sweden in general. And I was like, okay, interesting. So maybe I should try it, or I can try to do some of these things. And as you can see, it did gain quite a bit of popularity, and I'm happy that you guys are finding interest in this. And this is, I'm not trying to say like I'm gonna abandon philosophical content here, not at all. I've reduced it, yes I did, over the time, because I definitely gained more interest and motivation to do more Swedish content, because I noticed that you guys are interested in that. So I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So that gives me a bit of energy and motivation to do more Swedish content. But I certainly didn't forget about the philosophical content, and there will be more philosophical content in the upcoming couple of months or couple of weeks or whatever it may be in the future, basically. And this is kind of how the Swedish kind of lured into my account, or into my channel, better said, and I don't regret it 100%. And one thing that I noticed is that Swedish language is obviously not that popular. If you talk about, like talking globally speaking, Swedish is not like the most popular. Like if you take Spanish or French or Portuguese or English or Russian or Chinese or Japanese, like those languages are way more popular, and those languages, I guess, attract more people. And I guess, it's because it's funny, because I said in the beginning, or I said it many times in my videos, that I'm not like an ambassador. I'm not someone who's promoting the country. But I guess at this point you can just say, look, I am an ambassador de facto, maybe not de jure, but de facto I maybe am promoting the Swedish language and the country. And I don't regret it. I'm not there's no guilt in that. There's no shame. I mean, why not, honestly? And if you want to ask my personal connection to Sweden, if why did you learn Swedish, or why are you learning, like how did you get that interest? Well, it's kind of simple in some ways. So basically the only connection that I have is that I have a few relatives in Sweden, and my grandfather grew up in Sweden, in Stockholm, throughout his early teen years, or his entire childhood. And then he moved out of Sweden, but he knew Swedish for a long time. And basically I kind of wanted to communicate in Swedish, and he spoke English, of course, and all of that, but I was still very eager to learn languages. I just like languages in general, so not just Swedish. I like to also know other languages. I mean, I speak 5 languages overall, so I am more in that kind of area. I like to study those languages, and so that's my only connection I have to Sweden. I still have a few relatives here and there in Sweden, but not like super close. So in that sense, that's my relationship with Sweden. Other than that, I have no other further connections. I have no friends there, and no, whatever. I never went to school there. I didn't grow up there. So, and also one thing that I noticed before I want to conclude this video, I appreciate you guys reaching out to me, wanting to practice Swedish with me. I totally appreciate it. The only problem is that I don't always have time to do these things, because I have uni, I have work, I have all these other things going on. And but I do try to find some time as much as possible to practice my Swedish with some of you guys. But just know that if I don't respond, or if I don't quickly write back, then it has nothing to do with you. And but otherwise I try to always find time and space for Swedish. I always listen to podcasts, I always read newspapers in Swedish, I watch videos in Swedish. The only thing with watching videos is that sometimes there are no subtitles in Swedish. So on YouTube sometimes there is no subtitles, so it's a little bit tricky, especially if the Swedish people talk very fast, or if there's a dialect, so it's a little bit tricky, so you're like But other than that, I always try to make room for that. So on that note, I hope things have clarified. I hope you understand where this channel is headed to, or how it began, the genesis of this channel. And I appreciate your support. I highly appreciate the fact that you guys watch the videos and give me comments, give me reviews, and help me study Swedish, help me with your advice that you give me. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful week, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.